The following podcast contains opinion and commentary protected by the First Amendment and fair use. It may also contain adult themes, adult concepts, and adult language not suitable for children. Viewer discretion is advised.
David Gingrich, lawyer with flair, took on a case, thought he'd get somewhere. Laura Owens spun a tale so wild, claimed Clayton's twin said she bore his child. In the courtroom swing, they danced their plea, but the judge saw through that false decree. Paternity suit, it fell apart fast. Gingrich's bold moves, they just couldn't last. 3 strikes, you're out. Gingrich, hear the call. Your case struck out, watch it crumble and fall. Laura's lies, they swung and missed by a mile. 7 felonies down, no chance to restyle. Jazz it up, now the gavel's gonna slam. Jinger and Owens caught in their own jam. To the Arizona court he appealed with might, tried to turn the tide in the legal fight, but the Supreme Court said no, not today. Your claims don't hold, they're slipping away. Judge Mata's ruling, sharp like a knife, called out the fraud that cut through their strife. No proof of twins, no truth in the claim. Jinger and Owens, they're losing the game. 3 strikes, you're out. Gingrich, hear the call. Your case struck out, watch it crumble and fall. Laura's lies, they swung and missed by a mile. 7 felonies down, no chance to restyle. Jazz it up, now the gavel's gonna slam. Jinger and Owens caught in their own jam. Then the law came knocking with a heavy hand. 7 felony counts across the desert land. Fraud and perjury, tampering too, Laura's web of lies the jury saw through. Forged a sonogram, spun tales under oath. Her stories collapse, no room for their growth. Maricopa's justice, it don't play no games. Now Laura's indicted, carrying all the blame. Oh, the saxophone wails, for the truth been told. Gingrich swaggers faded, his case growing cold. Laura's dreams of victory, they're sinking in the sand. The law's got her number with the prosecuting hand. From the courtroom drama to the felony sting, this jazzy tale's got that bittersweet zing. 3 strikes, you're out. Gingrich, hear the call. Your case struck out, watch it crumble and fall. Laura's lies, they swung and missed by a mile. 7 felonies down, no chance to restyle. Jazz it up, now the gavel's gonna slam. Jinger and Owens caught in their own jam. So let the trumpets cry, let the drums roll on. The tale of their downfall, forever it's sung. In the desert's heat, where the truth stands tall, Jinger and Owens, they took the big fall. Jazz it up now, let the story unfold. A courtroom caper in the key of bold.
Welcome back, everyone, to your favorite cubbyhole on the internet. We are back yet again. We can't seem to get away. We are chained to the chair of the cubbyhole. No, this is not a cry for help. That just happens to be a little bit of whimsy. It's Saturday, and there are more documents. There are more documents to talk about because, oh my gosh, the plot thickens. This seems like it's going to get a little bit deeper and darker the more this goes on, and I'm starting to get a little nervous. But first, some announcements and some errata, or perhaps clarification. Announcement number 1, we are still marked safe, not being named as a witness in the criminal trial of Laura Michelle Owens. That was such an extensive list, and there were comments about interviews yet to happen in a number of states across the country, and I was getting a little nervous for myself. No, we are not named at this point in time, and we hope to keep it that way, just as Bruce the Moose himself says. We wish to be observers and commentators on this thing, not direct participants, up until we all get together at trial. I hope that the court is going to plan for a very large crowd at this trial. Now, I know Omar Serrato, the tilted lawyer, has said she's going to take a plea. You wait and see, and he could be right. At this point in time, with how things are starting to pile up, and pile up deeply, which we'll get to in a moment with these documents, that would be the smart thing to do if it's offered. And if there's a plea offered with no prison time, you would be a fool not to take it. Because after what we have discovered in these documents, it's the amount of prison time possible, I think, could be increasing. As could the people being placed in prison. One thing at a time. There's so much to cover. Oh my goodness. Oh, I'm overwhelmed. I'm overwhelmed with what there is to cover, and I just need to take a little breath. All the way at the beginning, we have spent some time this morning and this afternoon doing a great deal of research because we have questions that we can't immediately answer, and that pertains to errata number 1. Well, it's item number 2 on the list, but it's errata number 1. That being the mysterious person named David Gingrich, who is listed as being Building 640 Warner Hall, WAFB, Chandler, Arizona. And most of us thought, surely this must be a misspelling of David S. Gingrich, Esquire. It may not be, or it may be. It's absolutely a little bit more unclear, and I think it's even more unclear now, because here's what we get. Here's what we get with that address. Nothing substantive. Now, just with the way it's printed, building such and such hall, WAFB, it actually suggests to us some bit of history. Now, we have done some digging about history in the area, and WAFB, aside from being a news station in Baton Rouge, Channel 9, it takes us to a forgotten bit of history in the southeast corner of Maricopa County as sorts, that being Williams Air Force Base. Now, I will save you and spare you from the boring Wikipedia article of Williams Air Force Base. The long story being that the Air Force Base closed in 1993 and since then has been a Superfund cleanup site. It has become Arizona State University Polytechnic. And strangely enough, you start looking around there, you find all kinds of hall names, building names, all sorts of things. Now, there is not a Warner Hall. I can't find a building 640, or is it 604? 640, I think was what it was. I'm trying to look at small print in the Court of Random Opinions Live that happens to be talking about that thing where we were theorizing, is this David Gingrich and they got it wrong? Is this somebody else? Who is this person and where are they? Now, I am going to also point out something that in the documents we have read thus far, any substantive victims are being kept somewhat anonymous, at least their locations, away from the defense, for obvious reasons. Now, it's interesting that this area, if this is indeed the area being implied by the witness list documents, that this happens to be ASU. Now, wasn't someone's niece at ASU? Or am I making that up? We wonder, could there be a connection here? We just don't know. We're going to have to wait and see on who this David Gingrich is. Is this sort of a pseudonym? Are we protecting somebody of great importance? Is this a minor? We don't know. We do not yet know. That it raises more questions. But either way, I thought I would point out that WAFB is the former site of Williams Air Force Base, if that is indeed the designation given in the documents. And the ASU Polytechnic is also located in that same general area as what is now an airport. We have questions. Oh boy, do we have questions. So that takes care of item 1. We don't know who David Gingrich is referring to exactly just yet. I saw in the comments of Lauren Knighty's page, the last live for the Court of Random Opinion, someone had found a name of David Gingrich in that area who was also sort of tied to finances and asset management and that kind of business structure, financial sort of thing. We don't know if that's the person either because, well, that address doesn't quite ping up to some of the other things put together either. So, rather than just pontificate endlessly, we will say this is a very interesting mystery, who this particular person is, and we will have to wait to see what unfolds before we get some clear and definitive answers. So let's close some of those out, and let's move on to some of the documents. Following the witness documents from the Maricopa County Attorney's Office, we have new stuff. Well, newish, fairly new, dated the 25th. We got word of this last night. I wasn't quite in the mood in my Friday evening to hop on and do yet more. We need a little time away from this stuff too, you know. But here we have the state's allegation of multiple offenses not committed on the same occasion, pursuant to ARS 13-703 and -704. We'll talk about some of these things because this gets juicy. Oh my God. This is for the state of Arizona plaintiff versus Laura Michelle Owens, indicted felon defendant. Pursuant to ARS 13-703-704, etc., if offenses are dangerous, and Rule 13.5, Arizona Rules of Criminal Procedure, the state of Arizona, by and through undersigned counsel, hereby amends the indictment to allege that Count 1, committed on or between May 17 and June 10, 2024, that's May 17 of 23, just for the record, Count 2, committed on or between June 27, 2023 and July 11, 2023. Count 3, committed on October 25, 2023. Count 4, committed on March 1, 2024. Count 5, committed on March 1, 2024. Count 6, committed on June 10, 2024. And Count 7, committed on June 10, 2024, are multiple offenses and not committed on the same occasion, but consolidated for trial. The crimes charged in CR 2025-006831-001 are multiple offenses not committed on the same occasion. Therefore, if defendant is convicted of these crimes, defendant shall be sentenced pursuant to ARS 13-703 or ARS 13-704. If offenses are dangerous, State v. Thompson. Alternatively, should any of the defendant's charges not consolidated for trial become historical prior felony convictions under ARS 13105, the state will seek sentences enhanced with historical prior felony convictions on any remaining charges under ARS 13703 or 13704 if offenses are dangerous. Submitted June 2025, the Maricopa County Attorney, Rachel H. Mitchell, and signed by Edward Leiter, the Deputy County Attorney. And that was submitted to the Honorable Monica S. Garfinkel, the Judge of the Superior Court, etc., etc. Now, let's take a look at some of these statutes. So just looking at the ARS, this comes from the Arizona Legislature. This is azleg.gov, and this happens to be the criminal sentencing, criminal code, Title 13 criminal code. Get it right. Chapter 7, where we get all of those particular statutes, is for sentencing and imprisonment. And here you see the list of things. And let's just look at the captions, because this tells us already. I've got the other things pulled up just for giggles. 17-1303 is for repetitive offenders and sentencing. 13-704 is for dangerous offenders and sentencing. Now here we are in the more defined part of the chapter, 13-703, and this gives us all sorts of definitions of who is being sentenced and the terms. It's very interesting reading. I may include some of this for your own edification. And there's all the different felony classes and the minimum and maximum years one can be sentenced, everything from 3 to 12 plus years, depending on what the category is for the various classes, anything from 4 to 23 years. For 2 repetitive offender, 3 repetitive offender has even more time. For class 2, 10.5 to 35 years. For minimum class 6, 2.25 to 7.75 years. There's quite a spread. There's no get out of jail free if sentenced under anything under 13703. This is for the lawyers to cover. This is where Omar could come in, or maybe someone like Rachel Juarez, who has a passing interest in this case with or Owens, to pick these apart and see what exactly are some of these documents saying. This goes over my head because, of course, I'm not anyone who practices in the legal profession whatsoever. I get the gist of some of these things, and, being a layperson, it's interesting and somewhat terrifying the amount of time one could spend in prison for repeat offenders, among other things. It's not surprising. That's the way the criminal system works. You do it again, you're going to get charged with more stuff. So that's 13703. 13-704 is for dangerous offenders. I'm not quite sure what they considered that definition. That's probably somewhere that one could look up who exactly is a dangerous offender. Probably someone who is likely to reoffend. And as we have seen, given Laura Michelle Owens' propensity to do this multiple times, she could very well be considered a dangerous offender. Okay, and thanks to a commenter who pointed out that I'm getting my wires crossed with the numbers. I don't know what happened. It was early in the morning, and perhaps I just didn't have enough carbohydrates going to operate the brain cells properly here in the cubbyhole. But 13-105, as opposed to 705, which gets into some not so pleasant thoughts. 13-105 is just a very long string. There's some 43 entries of definitions. Everything from defining crimes to historical felony things. It's a whole. This is legalese. This goes over my head. I'm not so interested in it. But if you're wanting to see what that last paragraph says, you can pop over here and read through all of that, and you could figure out for yourself. But I'm only inserting this as an edit to keep things proper, keep things absolutely clear, and not speculate in directions I'd prefer not to, especially when it's not correct. So, all right, this is our little entry into what 13-105 is to correct the record of this recording, and we'll carry on as originally recorded after this. Okay, on to our next document. So here we have the next document that was also filed on the 25th of this month from the attorney's office. State of Arizona versus Laura Michelle Owens, yet again. The state's allegation of aggravating circumstances assigned to the Honorable Monica S. Garfinkel. The state of Arizona, by and through undersigned counsel, pursuant to ARS 13-701, alleges that the following aggravating circumstances exist in this case. Now, let's just take a quick peek at 701. Oh, here we go. The sentence of imprisonment for felony, pre-sentence report, aggravating and mitigating factors, consecutive terms of imprisonment, definition. I won't pull up the finer print because, well, let's leave that to those who actually practice law to pick that apart, but that gives us a little overview. If the state determines additional aggravating circumstances apply, the state will file a subsequent allegation of aggravating circumstances. Ooh, could there be more to come already? Where's the ooh button? Ooh. Yes. Bullet point number 1. The offense or offenses, parentheses S, involved the presence of an accomplice. Who could that be? Could that be Mama Owens? It would be my opinion that Mama Owens could be an accomplice. That's not an allegation, but it is a possibility in my opinion. I could also think of 1 or 2 others who could be an accomplice. And I also wonder if that could include potential counsel. We don't know. The person is not named, but we may find out if there are more documents to come. Stay tuned. Next bullet point. The defendant committed the offense or offenses as consideration for the receipt or in the expectation of the receipt of anything of pecuniary value. Next, the offense or offenses caused physical, emotional, or financial harm to the victim, or if the victim died as a result of the conduct of the defendant, caused emotional or financial harm to the victim's immediate family. Yes. Well, I think in the case of our victims, at least the latest one, that certainly could have caused some harm. Next, the defendant testified or will testify falsely at trial or another court proceeding. And there's subsequent case law listed. Next bullet point. There is evidence of prior acts of the defendant for which the defendant was not convicted. Oh my. What could those be? Could those be the previous instances with other guys in Arizona? I would imagine it would not include people in California, since this is only for the state of Arizona, and California would have to do their own prosecuting. But my goodness. Oh my goodness. How much further could this go? Ooh. Conspiracy theories can abound on how much we might cover here. There's a lot, it seems. Oh my goodness. Finally, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, people of all flavors, there may be some restitution and recompense for years of wrongdoing, at least within the boundaries of Arizona, that Laura Michelle Owens may actually come to be prosecuted on. And what a glorious day for justice that would indeed be. Holy hell. The next bullet point. The defendant has past bad conduct, even though that conduct may not have been or did not result in a conviction. Ooh. This is really getting thick, isn't it? The chickens are coming home to roost. I don't have a chicken button today. I didn't think I was going to even use that phrase. But here are the chickens. And there they are. Next and final bullet point. There is a need to protect future victims from the defendant. Oh, we need a round of applause for that. Take a bow, Maricopa County Attorney's Office, for being thorough. Bravo, brava, bravissimi, marvelous. Oh, we have 7 felony counts, but could this be broadening in scope for the purposes of conviction and for the purposes of sentencing, we wonder? And the last little bit of words here. Finally, if the jury convicts the defendant of multiple felony counts, or the defendant has felony convictions that are not within 10 years immediately preceding the date of the offense, the state alleges these multiple convictions as an aggravating circumstance. That's immense. That's immense. Now, we don't know if there's other things that someone might have been convicted of that we just don't know about. That'd be extraordinary if there were big skeletons in that closet that have yet to come home to roost. But that either way, these are documents. We are learning as we go here in this criminal trial of Laura Michelle Owens. And of course, this was submitted on the 25th of June, and it was signed by Edward Leiter for the Deputy County Attorney for the Maricopa County Attorney's Office. Now that covers the criminal trial portion of this experience. That's enough paperwork for the time being. But some other things that popped up in my field of view, just kind of digging more as we're just digging. We need a backhoe for this sort of work just to find all of the past, because it just seems to go on forever with the family Owens. Now, I don't know if it's even worth bringing this up, but I did some digging. And, on the Nobody Told Me podcast, I was just having to research this today. I was kind of preparing all the other documentation, doing some side projects, doing some more research. And on the Nobody Told Me podcast, they claimed to be the Apple Podcast of the Year kind of thing for 2018. And as it would turn out, probably to nobody's surprise, I can find no evidence whatsoever of that claim. And, just to prove it, let's just bring this silly thing up. This comes from Gear Patrol. And this is the best of the 2018 awards for Apple Podcasts. And it's got 15. And as you can see, Nobody Told Me is not a single one of these. Not at all. Not number 1, not number 5, not number 10, or number 15, or anywhere in between. None of those are there. We've got everything from the New York Times to Slate Magazine, Oregon Public Broadcasting, New York Times, American Life, Roman Mars. But not Nobody Told Me, not Laura Owens, not Jan Black, Elizabeth Naylor Owens. So that certainly is not true as far as this list is concerned. And just to be thorough, I even looked up 2019 just for giggles. And guess what? Can't find them there either. Everything from Dr. Phil to Emma Chamberlain, iHeartRadio people, NBC News, NPR, lots of bigger names, some other things. Most popular shows overall. No, nobody told me podcast is here either. And if I looked at their Spotify, I think it was Spotify or maybe it was the Apple list, I didn't see any material before 2019. So that little claim that they were one of the best seems to be erroneous, as much as the twin babies that Laura Michelle Owens never seemed to have. But there we go. The yarn keeps unraveling further with this whole insanity involving Laura and the family. And I'll also admit that I've started reading some of the old documentation for Mike Maricini's case and some of the testimony and affidavits there. And it's just mind-boggling. My head is still raw from reading all that. I probably should have done this first before reading all those things that everyone was saying about Laura, things that was being said about her father, and knowing that Laura is like a compulsive liar and at least seemingly delusional on some point seems to be a part of what I'm starting to think. So maybe there is a legitimate delusional component to Laura's mental health issues. And again, I am not a mental health or medical practitioner of any kind. We just find these things interesting to look at and talk about and think about and try and further undo this mess that seems to be what Laura Owens has brought before the entire world, and particularly how that has wronged a multitude of men, and we could even say on a certain level, some family members and probably people in her immediate sphere, other family, immediate friends, perhaps, all kinds of things. The story continues. I'm going to have to write an epic theme song or something for all this because it just goes on and on and on. And we're only in discovery. We have yet to await the return, the other documents that the defense may or may not file involving their potential witnesses and so forth. Now, it is very possible they may not call any witnesses at all, but because it is, of course, the state's burden to prove their case. But so far, I think they've got stuff to prove. Documents are slowly rolling in, and they are setting things up with sentencing documents and guidelines. So you can't tell me they don't have some smoking guns. But, that's how cases go. So we shall see. Alrighty, well, I think that is enough for a Saturday because, well, I have things to do. I've got to finish getting ready to be in a parade tomorrow. We've got things to do to get ready for that. Got to have all my goodies and things. Oh, so much to do. And the last thing I need to do is be spending hours in front of a microphone talking about Laura Michelle Owens. But yet, here we are. We have done so yet again, ticked off a few more boxes for the paperwork trail in this case, and found a few more other things that we need to keep an eye on. And perhaps the very resourceful people of this community will find some answers for us in finding out names and places and who some of these unidentified people might be. Now, that's not to say that we're encouraging anyone contacting any of these people that are witnesses or involved in this case or any other case that we may happen to discuss whatsoever. No, there's never permission to go to contacting people, but we can do research based upon what we are given from publicly available documents. And we can talk about those things and pontificate accordingly. But that's enough. That's enough. Go out, get out there and enjoy what's left of the day while you still have it. I shall as well. There's a little bit of sunshine at the moment, and I may soak up some vitamin D. All right, everybody, till next time, ta-ta for now.
Why do we have to, every time Rachel says something, you're just like, oh, you're not listening. It's just I don't get it. She is listening. She's listening to every word you say. And she's presenting something, and then you come back and shake your head and sigh.
Okay. Anyway.
Submit to an interview.
Wow. Stop. Well, if you let me. We're moving on to the next question. We're not gonna get very far with that. So
they can prove that this is not the first time she's done it. But even if you disagree with me,
I felt like I was juggling a flaming chainsaw while having my leg bitten by a German Shepherd. Okay. All right. We're moving on to the next question.
What lawyer ever says that?
Well, you're welcome that I gave you that's such an easy way to roast me.
You know it's a possibility you might not win something. We're talking about the appeal.
There's no chance you lost this appeal.
Yeah.
You will have this.
Rachel, here, can I offer you like a cookie or something? What do you want me to say? What do you want me to
Not
say?
that. In our case, we like our case.
I shouldn't have said that. Can we move on? Okay.
Yeah.
Pull it up.
I-
These statutes were invoked.
yeah. Okay. Hang on. You're getting. Okay.
But show me a case that says that, because your cases don't. I've read them all now. Just give me a quote from Holgate.
Oh,
Just give me a quote from Holgate that says.
can you hang on? Can you hang on for just a second here? Okay. Lord. Okay. You are pretending. Wait. If you want me to stay on this, you need to let me have fair opportunity to answer. Okay.
David, of 58 minutes, you've probably talked for 42 of them.
Come on.
I mean, come on, man.
Okay, guys.
Hold on.
Let me.
I got the
Rachel.
case there.
Oh
There's
God.
only the Rule 11. Hold on. There's other authority. What was at issue in that case?
We gotta move on. We gotta move on from that.
Is the whole point? Tried to withdraw it. There were other issues before the court.
Oh, for God's sake. Okay, Steve, can we move on? Because we're not going to get.
And then you come back and shake your head and sigh.
I know,
He
but
didn't have any authority infringed his copy or whatever that I interfered with his.
way before my time, way before I was there.
Way before you there. Where are these children?
Okay, you ready?
Where are they, David? This is the one thing that I think everybody wants to know.
Okay,
She's still 6 months pregnant. Can I show my belly? How would she have a belly in November if she miscarried in July or August?
look.
It's still not appropriate for her to include that finding of fact. Where
Okay.
are the people? There were reasons that her findings would have been inadmissible. That
My Lord, Steve. Oh my God.
And then Rachel gets 5 to 10 seconds before you sigh.
read the emails with Clayton, the emails with Greg, the text messages with Mike. 5 that it is, but something that purports to be.
Whatever.
If you would have won, I mean, obviously, if you would have won, you would have gloated too.
Here, sign something saying that you raped me. That Laura was pregnant. I don't know what that would be. I mean, she's been running around subpoenaing things. Apparently.